spawning up in the top right hand position as the red Protoss player. It is none other than NightEnd, who of course represents Fnatic. And his opponent down in the bottom left, the green Zerg representing Team Dignitas. It's Tefel. He's had a pretty good run through this tournament. Tefel just doing really well throughout, actually, a lot of different events. Definitely an impressive player, someone to keep an eye on. It always has been. He's consistent. He's shown that his openings up against Protoss have been very standard for Tefel. For a standard Zerg player, not so much. As anyone who's just tuning in now, his previous game up against Weak, he opened the same way, which is pull, hatch, gas up to 100, start speed, and then he gets out roughly 18 Zerglings. And he uses those for map control, to be running around, sniping off proxy pylons, keeping a good eye on what his opponent's doing, and potentially dealing some damage if he can sneak through a wall off, and really just trying to shut down pushes that way. Then he drones heavily while securing up his third, due to getting the control from those early lings. But for the most part, he then gets into a Roach Hydra composition in the mid. The one potential drawback of his playstyle, or kind of strategy that could be exploited, is the fact that his upgrades haven't always been amazing. The second game he played versus Weak in the semi-final didn't work out too well. Now, what is NightEnd doing? NightEnd going to be going for a Nexus first, which on Telic Watcher, absolutely fine. NightEnd playing some little mind games. What's he going to be doing? I always hope. But saying things like, let's make some art, and then a probe appearing in your base is enough to make any Zerg player shudder. Note this Overlord is coming back. He's just like, are you cannon rushing me? Are you gonna cannon rush me? He sees the probe, he's like, okay, what's he doing? What is he doing? Don't do it. Tefel, you're fine. You don't worry. Everything's going good, because what he's really doing is trying to psych you out while he takes these sneaky expansions. And everyone likes sneaky expansions, nice and greedy and early. It makes things awful fun. Anyway, this probe's still just keeping a good eye. Gonna see that Tefel's getting that gas down, knows that speed will be coming therefore, and the wall off will get basically constructed pretty quick. In terms of what's going to be made up of this wall off, we should see a cyber core and, well, forge pretty much. A forge, cyber core, and then probably an additional gateway may be required. But yeah, all going good for the time being. And yeah, to be honest, Tefel not going to be able to put on too much pressure yet. He doesn't make the lings until after he started Zerg speed generally, so not too much pressure going to be coming out for NightEnd, who of course I have no shadow of a doubt is going to be very much aware of what Tefel's playstyle is. They both play each other a lot of the time, so they bump into each other in this sort of cup frequently, so playstyle is known. They're both relatively well known and have a lot of casted games, so therefore seeing each other's playstyle is probably quite a frequent occurrence. But the key thing is that this probe is just keeping a good tab on when and if a third base is taken. And there will be a third base, it's just the timing. Just as in previous games, Tefel pulls out the drones from gas, and I'd expect to see, once these injects have finished, the Zerglings to get started. Meanwhile, NightEnd playing a bit of a risky game. He's not completing this wall off with anything, he's just sitting there going, you know what? I'm fine. Everything's good. I don't need a wall off. A puny wall off is for puny Zergs who decide to come and attack me. Tefel, he won't do that. He's going to just sit back. And Tefel, interestingly, getting a good number of drones out here. So, getting those Zerglings a little bit later than previously. NightEnd, though, adding on these 2 gateways. So, no forge. That's really the big thing that we're seeing here. There isn't going to be a forge. Instead, just getting these additional gates down. Wall off completed with a Zealot, and he's in a good spot to put on a little bit of pressure if he wants with 3 gates. We should see some tech as well fairly soon. Here comes the Zerglings, just as expected, but NightEnd has chucked down a pylon on the third base just to delay that a chunk, and it's frustrating. Not game-changing, but it's frustrating, and you can't underestimate how effective it can be just annoying your opponent a little bit. It's one of those things where you're just like, oh, let's send my Zerglings over, gotta kill this. Interestingly, only 10 lings came out, a bit less than we've seen in previous games versus Protoss, so Tefel is mixing it up a tad. Still, 10 is a lot more than you generally see a Zerg player opt to get up against the Protoss early on, especially when they've not seen anything. But these Zerglings are going to be forward. Warp Gate tech, not yet done. for NightEnd a bit longer. He's getting Twilight Council and a Forge though, so could be seeing some Blinkstalker play here. That's a good possibility. Maybe a bit late to go for a sort of really quick rush into DTs, but we could see some Zealot Archon style play potentially, although that's very unlikely. The big thing that I'd expect to see is Blink to come down from this, and yeah, just into a quick +2. So yeah, there we go, Blink is on its way. All looking good. Tefel, he's seen that there's no third base, and he's just going to come poking up here. Just try and get a bit of information to see, okay, well, there's 2 gates there. They're not warp gates yet, interestingly. Some more sentries coming out, and it would have been good if Tefel could get that information that it's sentries coming, because then he knows a bit about where the gas is going. For the moment, he's playing a little bit blind, doesn't really know what's going on in the main base, so kind of has to get a catch-all response to this. And his catch-all response is just going, you know what? I'll get some drones because I'm a Zerg player. I like drones. Anyway, Hydrogen, Rotron also coming down. +1 Carapace. This is a bit more of a mix-up. This is Tefel not playing the same as he has previously. Generally, when he gets just the 1 evolution chamber, at the time when the letter's already done, he gets +1 attack. But it's this Overseer that is going to be critical. Did it get the scan? I believe it definitely did. Yep, sees the Twilight Council, sees the Forge, and now Tefel is aware of what's coming. So a lot of Hydras are going to be pumped here. We should see a decent number of Speedlings as well, just to make sure that any Blinkstalkers do get shut down. But no. NightEnd, he's going to secure up a 3rd Nexus. So just playing it a little bit differently, but Tefel, moving forward with these Lings, going to try and get a little bit of information, and is going to succeed in doing so. Even going to go for a little bit of attack here, but with some good force fields, these Zerglings are going to get shut out. The Zealot's able to close down the distance, and yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. Tefel losing some units to get a quick early scout down. Does have some Hydras in production, but mainly droning. And those droning has commenced. Now he knows the 3rd's there because he's not expecting any pressure. There's a Robotics Bay coming through. Tefel actually opting to get the Infestation Pit down, so he's going to be taking up nice and quick here. Going to be some interesting time seeing how this is going to be working. But a small push out. This is some very interesting timings by NightEnd. He's trying to catch his opponent off guard. He knows that Tefel would have seen this and droned. And so he's going, well, if you've droned, you're not going to have units now, so I'm going to come and try and punish that. There are a decent number of lava, though, so more Hydras and Roaches are getting produced, ready to hold this off. But NightEnd, not overcommitting himself. He's got Blink, but not too many Stalkers. Just poking. Meanwhile, Tefel securing up his 4th base. This is in direct response to the 3rd being taken by NightEnd. He wants to stay a base up, and who can blame him? Every Zerg player wants to do that against Protoss, so it's all good. Meanwhile, Robotics Bay is also on its way through, and if you recall, anyone who was watching earlier in the games against Weak, game number 2 was actually where Tefel came up into a bit of a problem because he went for a 3-base Roach Hydra play against Colossi. This game, Tefel was playing a different tact. He's taking the 4th, he's getting Hive, and he's just playing it for the long term. Showing a lot of respect to NightEnd in just that, not trying to go for anything too ballsy or too overconfident, and that's a good assessment to make because +2's coming down. Tefel, he does have the +2 Carapace as well as +1 melee attack, signaling that he's likely to go into Ultralisks. But without packaging lands even started, there's no infestors yet, so he doesn't have any great vulnerable growths for the moment, but should be seeing still the Ultralisk Cavern, just due to the timing of this Hive, it's very early. Of course, the only other option is, of course, Brute Lords, but no Spire or anything like that coming down. So, Vipers could make a showing depending on whether the Colossi are through, since there isn't a Spire, but generally, it's going to be for some quick Ultras. Now, this push coming through, he's getting some great force fields down. NightEnd catching Tefel very much off guard there, and with enough energy on the Mothership core to recall. These force fields have just got to hold long enough to get that hatchery down, then boom, the recall should go down. Brilliant snipe off there by NightEnd, and that is a catastrophic amount of damage because it's not only the 300 minerals, which at this stage of the game to Tefel isn't huge, but it's the lack of a mining base. NightEnd has secured for a long period of time equal bases with the Zerg player. That means that his economy is going to be good. He's got a good amount of tech. He's pushing forward. He's got to be careful not to overextend himself because the counter push could be very powerful. But with Vipers now on the field, Tefel being cautious not to engage, just because there's the possibility that there will be double Colossus production and he could be up against 3 as he engages into it. The Ultralisk Cavern, though, is on its way. Still no pathaging glands, still no attempt to go up into those infestors as of yet. The road speed coming through a lot of Tefel's supply. Tied up in roaches, 15 of them for the time being, but he needs those until he can safely transition. Adrenal glands also coming through, and once more, NightEnd going for the sneaky play here. He's going to try and make his way in. Of course, these zealots will get spotted. It will be known that they're changelings, and this is where a nice little sandwich can come through. Roaches and speedlings coming from behind the mothership core. Not quite with the army yet, but a mass recall is essential at this point. NightEnd, unfortunately, leaves a few stalkers to their death, but the good thing for Tefel is that he saw that coming. He was able to keep up his form, but simultaneously there is a zealot drop coming in to the main base, trying to snipe off that hive. The drone's attempting to stop it. Those +2 zealots dealing a good amount of damage. Will it be enough? Not yet. Force Code's holding the ramp. Another wave of warpins would be required, but Tefel sees this as an opportunity to go for the third. Is he going to be able to get anything good done? Well, he takes one of those Colossi instantly. The Vipers sitting back now. Their work is done there. Of course, with the wall of dying, it's going to be a problem. The hive has gone too, so Tefel is pretty committed at this stage. He's got to deal a huge amount of damage, but NightEnd's army is rapidly disintegrating to the might of the swarm. Probes getting pulled, which at this point is never too much of a good sign. The Vipers just taking a look forward, making sure it's all going to plan. But NightEnd losing his army is now down to 35 army supply to the 110 of Tefel. GG, well played is called, and Tefel takes game number 1 of this best of 5. So, very, very good game there.